Hi, everyone, and welcome to We Are a Crotchety Old Man and a Woman, the podcast for you, with you, and sometimes even about you. So this is kind of an ending, but yet a new beginning, as Abigail and I kind of had some philosophical differences about the podcast. So nothing bad, by the way, nothing bad at all. She will actually no longer be joining us, and that also means that Roland also will not be joining us. But that's okay. I will be going solo for a while and have a little more freedom to do some other things. So we're right now. The reason we're doing this podcast today is just kind of to go over some important fun things. I am currently in Duck, North Carolina for the 4th annual Joe Scheyer Memorial Balls Tournament. We talked about it a lot last year and even the year before that, but what I wanted to talk about, so what balls is and what who Joe Scheyer was, real fast. Joe Scheyer was one of our closest friends, and we've been coming to North Carolina for over 25 years, over 20 years. It feels like 100 years, but we've been coming down here, and we play this game, we call balls. It is sort of a cross between lawn bowling, bocce, except on the beach. And we play for a couple trophies, and one is a Joe Scheyer trophy that he won way back in 2007, and when he passed, his sister gave it to us. So now we actually all play for it every year, and we had a new winner this year. Our new winner was Cameron Sprott, the phenom that we've been waiting for the last 4 years to win. I myself did come in dead last for the first time, but I'm going to blame that on the ride down here, because I had no sleep. I had about 4 hours of sleep, drove down for 5.5 hours from Virginia, and played tough, but he deserved it. He went crazy. He just dominated. It was awesome. It wasn't even a contest, really. It was a contest for like the first 5 points, and then it was all over. He just dominated. Great time. If you saw on the Twitter account, we have a picture with him and his trophies. Well deserved, and he's going to be bringing it to Maine. First winner outside of the state of Virginia, because with the even at the old political correctness, how you always have to say the first. So he's the youngest male winner, so that's big. Youngest male winner, first non-winner in the United States. So United States from the state of Virginia. Sorry, I really still haven't had much sleep today. Another big event today is my sister's birthday. I'm not going to tell you how old she is, but she's up in New Jersey with my mom today celebrating her birthday. So happy birthday. I won't give her name because I haven't talked to her yet, but she's celebrating. What I really wanted to talk about today, and I'm not going to really go into politics and Sydney Sweeney and Trump and all that fun stuff, fun, crazy stuff. We'll do that again later. Maybe I'll throw some of it in today. But what I really wanted to ask was questions about if you ever driving alone on a long drive, like really what do you think about when you're driving? And what kind of music do you listen to? Do you listen to, are you just constantly flipping channels to find something? So let me give you my hilarious, unique take. So I'm driving to yesterday, and I left Northern Virginia at 3:30 in the morning to try to be here, because you got to drive through all the rush hours. You got Richmond and Norfolk, and trying to get here on time. And it's dark. Talk radio really doesn't. I mean, it's on, but it's all repeats. So you're getting old news already. So what was I listening to? And what was I thinking about? Because basically it's mindless, but you're trying to keep awake. So I was listening to some talk radio, some sports radio. Then that got boring very quickly, because once again, everything was old news. Old news because, 10 years ago, that would have been quick news, but it was old news already because it was already a day old. And I was listening to a lot of heavy metal music. I I have Sirius Radio, or I don't even know what it's called anymore because it's been sold so many times. Satellite radio, I guess, XM satellite. I was listening to a lot of Ozzy's Boneyard and Turbo, just cranking it up as loud as I can, trying to stay awake. Then back to Lithium, listening to grunge music from the 90s. Then I accidentally put on some 1940s music. There's a channel 40s music. And for a few seconds, maybe for a good 10 minutes, I was just listening, laughing, and singing if I knew some of the words to it. But what is the kind of music that you listen to? And here's a question, even more tough. Like, could you even come up with a top 10 songs that you say that you will always listen to? And it's not easy. I'm not a musical guru in any shape of imagination. I don't know that much about music. If you ask me, like, name a band I like, I could say, like, I like Metallica, or I like Nirvana. And if you ask me name one person in the band, I sometimes can't do it. Our intro music was Rush, and I played that for one of our competitors in our event, who was a big Rush fan. And when I was growing up, I was kind of told, that Rush was a nerd band, and I didn't want to be a nerd. And then years later, I found out, wow, they're freaking awesome. But at the same time, I remember growing up finding that Pink Floyd was like a drug addict band, and only the kids who smoked pot, they were the guys who listened to Pink Floyd. Now I enjoy Pink Floyd. I don't agree with them politically, especially Roger Waters, but at the same time, good stuff. Metallica, didn't really like them until much, much later. Ozzy Osbourne, now I did listen to him before he died. I got really into Limp Bizkit for a while, and now I see Fred Durst performing, and it's like, oh my God, he kind of looks like the golfer John Daly. They could be brothers at this point with their gray beards. So him singing his songs and with Limp Bizkit, and you're like, damn, that guy's old. He's gonna hurt himself. But so, what do people really listen to? What are the top 10 songs? How much of it changed since you were younger? And what kind of music? I've always wanted to have conversations with people and talk about what music, and we briefly touched about it, music that you were kind of told that you had to like. And even yesterday on the beach, we were briefly having this conversation where I said, Billy Joel, why? Why? Elton John, why? David Bowie, why? Why was I I don't want to say forced, obviously, but it was you got it shoved down your throat to the point you're like, oh, Billy Joel's freaking awesome. David Bowie's freaking awesome. Elton John's freaking... No. No, they really weren't. I don't like any of their songs. I'm turning it off right now. I mean, if I had it on right now, I would be click. I'd rather put on that 1940s music again. So, what is a top 10? I mean, I can go back to the 80s and find, Diva Whip It. Men at Work Down Under. So there's 80s music I love, but then at the same time, there's music from the 2000s. There's stuff from today. Then there's bands I only discovered 3 years ago, like Linkin Park, that are redoing because, one of their lead singer dies and Chester dies, and now they have a woman singing, which was another question I had. Is there ever been a band where you actually had either a woman take over for a man or a man taking over for a woman? That's it's pretty different. You have AC/DC and a few other bands that just change frontmen, but that was frontmen, by the way, front person, being politically correct. Just odd questions I had. So while I'm driving, I'm thinking about all these weird things going on. And, just in my head, why is there traffic at 4:30 in the morning? And without construction. There was I'm oh my God, I was driving, the speed limit was 70 miles an hour and I was going 55 because of traffic. And once again, no accident, no construction, nothing. It was weird. And also, I started to get really hungry, and at that time of day, nothing is open. Nothing. I pulled over to a rest stop right off of 64, and it was one of those Virginia rest stops. Dark as hell. The main building is open, and you have all the truck drivers parked in there, but it was so quiet. I mean, I'm surprised, like, I wasn't seeing, like, drug dealers or people getting shot. I mean, it was, like, really scary. I mean, here I am, I'm an old man, and not that old, but I walk in, I go into the restroom, and I'm, like, looking around, like, hopefully there's not, like, two dudes having fun in one of the bathroom stalls, because I had to pee. So I would have been like, oh, don't bother me. I'm sorry, I won't bother you. You guys do whatever you're doing in the stall. I'll be out of your hair in no time. But just that wasn't there. But it was weird. All the doors are electric, so they all open. Which, I think during the day they're not. I think you actually have to open it. But that was like really intimidating. Like there was a lot of cars there, but no people in the cars. So I'm just wondering if those people like are getting like having meet and greets. There you go, meet and greets in the with the truck drivers, because I think I was like one of the only cars actually there that had my headlights on and came in and drove off. So that was interesting. But the whole time I'm like, while driving, my thoughts are going on like, what's going on in the world? Why are people even talking about Sydney Sweeney still? What's going on in Texas with, oh my God, they're redistricting, gerrymandering. By the way, did you know the person, and I apologize, I forgot the guy's name off the top of my head, but his name was actually Gary, who was the first person to do this in his in his state. So we were calling it gerrymandering, but it should be Gary-mandering. So look that up because it is pretty interesting. But it's supposed to be done after the census, but the key word that it went to the Texas Supreme Court. The key word is that they have the right to do it within 10 years. So you can do it within the 10 years. You don't have to wait for the census. And you had all of the Democrats, governors who were complaining, and Republicans have done it in the past. But you have like the one lady in the one governor of Massachusetts who is threatening everyone. And like, I don't know if you saw her district. There's 0 Republican districts. None, absolutely none. They represent 40% of the population are registered Republicans, and they have 0 representatives because they had gerrymandering. New York has, New York had gerrymandering. If you look at the crazy squiggle line in Illinois, they have gerrymander. So I mean, like everyone does it, but the people who were complaining, kind of like Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, they just did it. I mean, so like they're complaining about something that they just did because they're going to be losing seats. And I do believe Daniel's favorite person, Jasmine Crockett, she might be losing her seat. Oh my God. That is another typical liberal Democrat who literally grew up in a nice, affluent neighborhood, but pretends, changes her voice. If you ever watch videos of her, like as her first term, she speaks perfectly clear, she's not yelling, she's very articulate, and then bam, it's like she drank the Kool-Aid and got dumber, and now she speaks with, almost like Ebonics, where she's, she puts on an accent, she pretends she's from the ghetto, she's from the street, and she represents, no, you weren't. You were in a nice, affluent neighborhood, and you are educated, and yet you don't want to come off and sound like you are actually from that area. You don't want to sound smart. You want to sound like you're from the streets to get people to believe in you for some odd reason, and you can't be taken seriously that way, but she's made a name for herself, and her donors are contributing, so she's going to continue. So she might be the next Beto of Texas. She'll be out of power very quickly, and hopefully she slowly disappears. And then you had Beto, who might be himself, Mr. O'Rourke, who he himself is in trouble because he might have been actually doing illegal campaign funds for the Democrats who left. I don't get it. I think this happened like 5 years ago in Texas, where they also left because of an issue. I mean, these people are voted in to office, and now I guess I mean, then they go like to other states and they stay there and protest, and people pay for them to stay there. Other Democrats, and I'm thinking, wow, what a great job. I mean, like, I'm supposed to work every day, but I'm protesting, and the people who voted for me are proud of the fact that I'm not doing work, and I will travel somewhere else, and they'll even pay for me to stay there. So I'm going to stay in a nice hotel that other people are paying for me and not have to do anything like my real job. That's a pretty good gig. I wish that I could do that. Living in Northern Virginia, I probably would get crushed. I probably would get like 3% of the vote. Even if people agreed with me, I'd still get 3% of the vote. So it is kind of fascinating just seeing what's going on in the world. Just the news has been just overwhelming. Finding out what Trump says is always taken literally, and I know a lot of Republicans have problems with it, where he says something and everyone immediately believes it. They don't understand when he's joking or not, because usually they're just hearing they're seeing the message, but they don't actually hear the context. Like they don't hear him saying it. Great example is using the military in DC, the National Guard. Now, Washington, D.C. is the most unique city in America because it's not really controlled by the people of Washington, D.C. It's actually controlled by Congress. And Congress has given the president the power to actually call in the National Guard to help. By the way, the National Guard's not arresting people. They're not running around with military weapons and military gear, as I heard one lady say on one of the stations while I was flipping through channels. And they're just there to back people up, to help, to just stand there, be on the platforms, possibly riding the metros. And the Democrats are lying. You have Jamie Raskin yelling at the top of his lungs that everything is a Nazi conspiracy and it's all about power. The guy just talks to hear himself think. And so Trump has the legal authority to do this. Now, he did say, going back to my point, he did say actually that he would be, he said maybe other states, that maybe we should do this with other states. And oh my God, all these other states were like, yeah, he can't do it. Oh, we're going to go to the Supreme Court. He doesn't have the right to do it, but the governors do. So that's kind of a backhand way of what he was trying to say. The governors could do this for crime-ridden states to clean up their problems. Instead, what they do is they'll blame Republicans. I mean, in Chicago, they blame Republicans for their problems. I think it's been over 100 years since there's been a Republican mayor. I mean, how unbelievable is that? I've been a Republican mayor in Chicago, and yet they still blame Republicans for their problems. They blame, or other states for their problems. Their crime is so high, but yet they have some of the hardest gun control laws there are. But they blame other states like Indiana for their problems. And New York City is the same way, if you actually see that. They blame others. Modani's running against Trump. He's going to be a thorn in Trump's side. That guy is literally going to he's going to get elected because, sadly, on the Republican side, Curtis Lewa keeps running, and there's just not enough Republicans or even like moderate Democrats who would vote for him. And I don't even know if Curtis Lewa would even help. He would hopefully be a filler until we get another Republican, because we're not going to get a conservative ever in New York. So it's Modani is most likely going to win. I mean, I would never vote for Cuomo after COVID. Everyone talks about him having to leave office because he was groping all the women, but it's how quickly they forgot about the nursing homes that he was putting people in. Took his mom out of a nursing home during COVID, typical, and people totally forget about that. I mean, so many people died because of him and his direct actions as governor, and people are still going to vote for him. And do I want Adams to win? I mean, Adams was part of the initial problem as well. Once again, we forget when it came to bringing in illegals and making it a sanctuary city. He was all for it at the very beginning. And then he changed his tune when he saw, oops, this isn't working out the way I thought it would be. And yet Mondani, he's appealing to two different interests. The uber elite, who really think with their heart, not their minds. They want to be good people. Let's let everyone in. And if it goes bad, how can it affects them even more? Because, wow, we're trying to help. So we'll bring all these people in, and we don't want to hurt them we don't want to arrest them, because that would hurt their chances later on. And if they're bad people, that would make me a bad person too, because I support them. So they will support them no matter what, always calling them good. So you have those elite. Then the other people are the people who want free stuff. The people who, I don't want to say are lazy, but the people who just are getting used to like getting free stuff for so long. Because when you take away free stuff, you're going to get kicked out of office, most likely. And it pretty much happens. You need pretty much, unless you have the power, or that it's actually better for the city or state or even the country. You do the right thing knowing you're going to get voted out of office. Political power runs deep. Once you have that power and that money and the influence, very difficult to give it up. We were also looking at term limits. I know I'm just throwing a whole bunch of stuff out there, as it's early in the morning and I just had a lot to just talk about. But Trump is proposing term limits, which sadly, it's great, except the people who are in power, why would they give it up? If they're 2 years left on their proposed term limit, they're going to be like, oh, wait, I'm liking my huge war chest and all the funding I get and the free dinners and the free air flights and everything else that I get. I don't want to have to go back to real work. But even that, the whole problem is the lobbyists. You need to get rid of, or not really get rid of, but make mandatory restrictions on lobbying. Make real restrictions. And of course, there will be loopholes within loopholes within loopholes. But, there was one proposal that you can contribute a maximum of $20,000 to a candidate. Well, how about this? You can only donate $20,000 to a candidate, but only $30,000 to one specific party as well. Take the money out. Make people actually have to run real ads, because, those ads cost a lot of money. And, we're getting the wrong information a lot. We get two sides. Some sides you believe, sometimes you don't. I'm listening to ads that I'm like, huh? What? I actually listened to this conversation. This has never been said before, because you can take things out of context very easily. You just leave one word out, and the whole sentence in an ad ends. It's totally different. So what else do we got in planned? So, what I will be doing, that was enough about politics, had to just get it off. And I was rambling for a while. We're gonna probably try to do a little bit more fun. We had some good feedback from people actually liking the taste tests, the Coca-Cola taste test. I can't believe how bad I was at that. Abigail nailed it. She got all three. But I'm thinking we might start doing some more of that. Just maybe some more local stuff. Maybe more silly stuff. Stuff that's thoughts on Twitter, thoughts about AI and silly videos, that I follow, and start doing more of that. But I think, that we're going to be doing some restructuring. I probably will be back on the air, maybe September. This was just kind of a one-off. Just wanted to make sure that we ended the show. Might be even changing the title. I don't know if I'll be I am a very old crotchety old man. Maybe even got rid of the word crotchety. I don't know. We could use your thoughts. So anyway, we're not going to change our Twitter handle for a while. So it's still at crotchety old man on Twitter, at crotchety old man. Join the followers. I think we've doubled and tripled. We've got a lot of people following us. We actually are people all over the world are going to follow us. So maybe we'll start doing some more world trivia and facts and fiction. It'd be hard to do trivia by yourself though. But feel free. We would definitely like to have more people reach out to us and have conversations with us, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'd like to. I got a gotta log back in here to play off some music. And I want to thank everyone for enjoying the show. The people who I'd like to thank everyone who actually has been part of this. We'll do a rebranding, relaunch, and we'll just have some more fun. And we're gonna see where it goes. So thank you, everyone. It's been awesome. Abigail, awesome for everything she did. I would like to thank Roland for coming in. I know he didn't really want to do it, but we convinced him. So thank you all, and have a good one.